Hello and welcome to week 8 of the video diary, and yep, we're back in the living room again. I wanted to stay in Cornwall but unfortunately I couldn't, I had to come back and work, but there we go. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm going to get onto those in a minute, but I promised this week that I would talk about edits. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, then I'm going to answer your questions. But before I start, you may have noticed the rather splendid hat. Woo! This one's been hanging about for a while actually, because I keep putting it on and then changing my mind, but I think I got this in the sales, in the January sales, just couldn't resist it. I haven't had a chance to wear it out yet, so I thought I'd show you first. Right, so on to the editing. I have finally started it this week. It really helped to have a couple of weeks just to get my head right, just to think about, you know, what I'm going to do with it and work out a few possibilities for what I should be doing. So that done, the only thing to do now is to get down and write it. And actually this edit, which we call the structural edit, is actually good fun because it means that I can get to play around with my characters a bit more. I can spend a bit more time with them. I can start to refine the story, whereas the first draft was literally just throwing out ideas and making sure they were all down. Now it's about making it into some kind of shape, making it into a great story, and I do know that you'll love it. I keep saying it, but I know that you'll love it. Now I mentioned that some of the things that I suggested during the editorial process take a bit of getting used to, and some of them I kind of have to find my own way round, and I said that I'd tell you about some of those. The main thing so far that we're changing from the original draft to this structural edit is that I initially wanted to show you where Romilly worked during the day. Romilly, who's the main character in It Started With a Kiss, is a singer in a wedding band, but they only do that kind of at weekends, and at the moment there isn't enough money for them to do it full time. So all the people in the band have day jobs, and so I was going to show you Romilly's work environment, and it's going to be very similar to the kind of work environments that you've seen at Kowalski's in Fairytale of New York, and in Sun Lovers International Travel, it's easy for me to say, in Welcome to My World. But looking at it, it does kind of detract from the main thing about the story. What I really want you to get when you read It Started With a Kiss is a real sense of this kind of privileged position that the wedding band have, of being able to sort of be an official fly on the wall, if you like, at people's weddings. So we're going to really max out on the weddings. You're going to see a lot of how the band interact with each other, which is lovely. A lot of the people in the band are based on my friends who I sing in a wedding band with, so it's kind of a lot of my experiences that are going in there. So I think you're really going to like it. Initially it was kind of, no, she needs to have this job, but I kind of understand it now. So she's got a different job. Initially she was going to be a photographer at a little sort of provincial photography studio. Now she actually writes jingles for a radio station. So it's kind of working in music but not quite perfect. So you'll hear her stories of the kind of things she's had to be writing about, but you won't see her at work as much. And I think that's going to work because I think you're really going to want to see some of these weddings. There are some amazing weddings in here, so that one's worked okay. Something that I'm not quite sure of, I said there's a few things that we kind of change, is the opening chapter. If you've got Welcome to My World, if you've read Welcome to My World, you'll notice that in the back there's the first chapter of It Started With a Kiss, and very often if you put a first chapter in the back of a book it does change, so there will be things that change about it. It goes a bit too quick at the moment. It's too much of a sort of a quick moment, and this amazing thing that happens when Romilly kind of meets this stranger and he looks at her, and it's amazing. There kind of isn't enough of that yet. I want to really ramp that up so that you want to know whether she's going to find him again, because at the moment it's a bit quick, and there are several different ways that we can do it. So what I'm doing at the moment is writing several different treatments of it, and then we're going to share it with my editor and then see kind of which one works, because it's got to be enough of a reason for you to read right the way through the book. So that's quite a challenge at the moment. It's not a nasty challenge, I'm not upset about it, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good one. So so those are things that I'm working on at the moment. So quickly on to your questions. Great questions again, as ever. Thank you so much. It means the world to me to be able to answer questions. It's just really good fun. Leah, hello Leah from Chicklit Reviews. These questions are amazing. Thank you very much, and you know, keep them coming. Leah wants to know, have I experienced writer's block? And if I have, do my publishers have any contingencies in place to deal with it? To be honest, I think that there is such a thing as writer's block, but when you have to write for a living, you can't just let that be a reason to stop writing. You've got to find a way around it. So yes, I get moments when I'm really stuck on stuff, but what I'll try and do is go and work on a different scene. And certainly with editing, it's a lot easier because the first draft is there in whatever state it's in. So it's a lot easier to go back and kind of work on different scenes throughout the book. I don't think that there's a contingency. I mean, I have a set amount of time to produce a book, and I have to produce a book in that time. That's actually good for me, because that means that I can't indulge writer's block. I have to just go and work and get through it. So yeah, that's the way that I cope with it. So, you know, it's not an issue because it can't be an issue. So I hope that answers your question. Joanna, hi Joanna. Have some lovely tweets with Joanna. It's great. I'm going to put her Twitter address up on the blog this week, because she's brilliant and she's really encouraging, and she always tells people about my vlogs, and it's brilliant. So thank you very much for that. So Joanna's question is, how have I changed as a writer and an editor? It's a really good question. I think I've become more confident as a writer. I think knowing that people like what you're doing is a massive thing, and certainly, you know, having great comments from yourselves and other people on Twitter and Facebook has just been so nice to know that I'm not kidding myself and I'm quite a good writer. So I think I've become more confident, and I hope that with every book you see that there's some kind of a progression, and that you see that they're better structured, better stories, and that you can see that I'm sort of growing as a writer. I don't ever want to be writing by numbers. I don't think that's a good thing at all. In terms of an editor, I just have to do it more often. So I hope that answers your question. Emma, hi Emma, wanted to know, how did I start writing? Well, I've written stories for as long as I can remember. I think I always had a very high reading age, and I used to find reading very, very easy, but I used to kind of get bored. I have quite a short attention span, so I used to make up my own stories. And there was a joke in my family that all my stories were great as long as they only had one chapter in it, because after one chapter I get bored and write something else. I started writing what became Fairytale of New York. I was living in Essex. I was in quite a difficult marriage, and I needed something that was just mine, and a friend of mine gave me a really old PC that was like completely dying on its backside, and I just started writing, and that's where it came from. And it was just kind of a need to do something. It's always been there, and I find it incredibly cathartic, and it's really, you know, it's really good to just make things up, and so that's where it started, with me really sort of taking it seriously. So I hope that answers your question. And finally, Susie, hi Susie. Susie wanted to know, how long was Coffee at Kowalski's, which is the original name for Fairytale of New York, how long was it on Orthonomy before it got picked up? It was 2 months, so it was actually not very slow at all, really. It was kind of a bit of a whirlwind from the moment I put it on. I was very fortunate, but I know some people that have been on there for, you know, a couple of years and have then found a publisher. So, you know, I was just incredibly lucky that my editor was looking at the time she was looking. So that's it for now. Next week I'll still be editing, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more. We've had to rework some of the characters in the band, so I'm going to introduce you to the characters in the band next week, and hopefully I might actually go outside. If it's going to be nice weather, I might go out. So thanks very much. Keep your questions coming. You know what to do. Put them in the box below this, and just, you know, ask me anything. Ask me anything at all, it'll be fine. And have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.